swallow going rouses every nerve and sense. Oh, the wild delight of knowing 'tis our power that does the rowing. Oh, the joy of life
The rowing championship fund allowed us to go racing ahead of the Charles in the Coxford event, and we got second place.
Hi, my name is Matthew Tomaszewski. I'm the senior heavyweight commodore here at Cornell Rowing. Henley was a great experience that exposed me to international rowing on the highest level. It helped me and my teammates develop and will help us in our campaign this spring.
Hi, my name is Annie Bryson. I'm a freshman on the women's rowing team. Coach Paul has been great with helping us adjust to the team as well as Cornell.
Hello, my name is Hassan, and I'm a senior on the heavyweight team. I really like the concept too, because I get to sit next to my teammates and we push each other harder.
I'm Alex Bell. I'm a senior on the heavyweight team. Rowing with the Canadian team this past summer has allowed me to make a greater contribution to the Cornell team.
Rowing for the U.S. at the Under-23 World Championships developed me as an athlete, and I was able to take all of that experience I learned as a member of the national team back to contribute to Cornell Rowing.
Hi, I'm Maeve Markowitz. I'm a sophomore on the women's rowing team, and the RP3s have been instrumental in developing the Cornell women's rowing.
I'm Alex Kiss, and I'm Merrick Lee, and chocolate milk helps us recover.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm a junior on the women's team, and the RP3s have helped us a lot with giving us immediate technical feedback.
People that are in there. We have Olympians, we have world champions. We have people that work for NASA. We have people that are running Wall Street. We have people that just graduated. We have people that have really deep pockets and have done unbelievable things. And we have people that just gave their class year $20.18. But all of you, there you go. We have past award winners and we have future award winners. But what everybody has done in here is in common, and that is support Cornell crew. So whether you rowed or didn't row, you're here for a reason, and I really appreciate it and want to thank you. So there you go. The big reason, obviously, that we're here, it's our annual award dinner. And the 7 guys that we're going to be honoring tonight, I need to go back in history to sort of explain how it all happened. And if you look back at the CRA a little bit, many years ago, it was just a simple gathering of ex-oars people that came in. Actually, at that point, it was probably only men. I wasn't there. It was before I was even a rower here. They sat upstairs. Supposedly, they drank and smoked cigars, and they signed big checks. And it was sort of a game of whose check was bigger, and that became the whole thing at the end. The coach would go up, beg for something, and off came a check. And this continued to make Cornell rowing available and possible. Over the years, the CRA, and there's many presidents in here tonight, that allowed that to be progressed to be more than just a check writing game and a thing to support crew, but it actually drove us to make a better experience for the athlete, whether it was through Cramp, whether it's through events like this to bring alumni back to help support it, whether it's just a multitude of different things that allowed Cornell rowing to continue to grow, and grow not just in the sense of, oh, we have a fast boat now and again, but we're making the student-athlete experience way better and having more opportunity that they are allowed to get into and take advantage of. So as we go tonight, this CRA slowly kept moving and moving, and it was somewhere early in my head coaching career as a heavyweight coach that we were at one of these CRA meetings, and in the meeting, I got word back later on that Jay Abbey was he wasn't excited about how the meeting went. And well, I'm not a business person, and he knows a heck of a lot more than I do, so I figured, I can learn a lot. So I called Jay up, and I'm like, well, what do you think, what's going on? And he goes, well, Todd, we talked a lot today, and a lot of people are enthusiastic about what we were doing, but we didn't really come up with a plan to do something. And I was thinking, he's right. And as we started talking more and more, and we went further on, he goes, Todd, what do you need to make a difference? And it was the first time that I ever really thought, we've always say, oh, a new boat or a couple new ergs or something like that. No, this was like program-wide. What would change the needle? How do we change the dial so we go in a whole new direction, that we go beyond what we ever thought was possible? And I was like, I never thought of doing something that big. So I talked to some of the coaches, we sat around, we doodled down some ideas, and we started saying, one of the things we are is right now we know what we can't do. We're not allowed to go in certain directions like international students. Cornell doesn't have the money for it. But what can we do? We can take the US kid or a few international kids that can afford it, and we can develop them. We have the facility. We have the room to do it, and it's just a matter of, can we get them racing enough? Can we keep them in racing by going to Henley or putting them on U23 teams? Can we get them the ergs to sit on and the number of seats they need? All that kind of stuff comes together. Can we educate our coaches enough? Can we get more coaches in the office to help recruit and do more of this work so we can do that? And that's sort of what came out down on the paper. So as I called Jay back a couple weeks later, we're talking again, and we're like, what's the next step? And the other person I was working with a lot at that time was Ivan. And Ivan Rudolph Shavinsky, wherever you are out here. He started coming up with some more of this, and then it became the three of us sort of started scheming in on how we do this. And we brought in a guy named Steve Caraher, who's unfortunately no longer with us. He was the A&D staffer, and he started saying, well, could we raise that much money? And he started looking around. I don't know. But that's when we brought in the person we figured we really needed to talk to, and he unfortunately is not here tonight, so a little toast to Bob Staley. Yeah. And Bob is the kind of guy that, I've heard this joke before, so I'm not being original, don't think I'm witty, but basically, Bob could walk up to the vice president or the president, or me, of course, the AD, he puts his hands on that person's shoulder and goes, with a big smile and says, we can get this done, can't we? And everybody goes, yes, Bob, we can get it done. And it's amazing, because this is what was happening. It was going to get done. And as soon as we got the okay from Andy to do that through Bob, it was sort of now, who can we get to join us? Who would buy into this and help us get this accomplished? And that's where Dewey Shea, Ken Brown, and David Watts came in, and Don Sparrow. The four of them were really excited to be part of this and realizing we can continue to make Cornell Crew go and take the next step, to make sure that we stay competitive in a different way than everybody else is doing it. So the seven of them came together, and now we had it. It was like, okay, here we have this amount of money. But that's when one of them came up with the idea, or two, I can't remember who the exact person was, but it was like, we didn't just want to have these seven people coming up and making this whole thing happen. We want it to be grassroots. So the challenge was posed. And the challenge was, if we can get all of Cornell rowing alumni to be part of this, to help step up and go from $300,000 annual to $400,000, they would kick in with the next 200, or I'm rounding my numbers a little bit. But in doing that, we took a program and basically doubled our annual fund. And what it did was it changed the dial. We did what no other sport at Cornell has been able to do, what no other alumni group at Cornell has been able to do. And in a time where there's supposedly a crunch in the athletic department, we're sitting there not even knowing this. We're sitting there like, hey, the heavyweights are going to race in Vegas. The women are going to Clemson. The lightweights are going to Henley this year. So here's all this happening, giving possible chances for people to get more racing in than we normally would have, giving us a chance to develop. And it's thanks to not just this group, but the challenge that was poised out in all of you. So thank you. Before I keep going with this, Andy Noel really wanted to give his thank you. He can't be here tonight, so he put a little video together to thank everybody. So here we go.
Greetings from Teagle Hall. I regret very much not being able to join the terrific group of Cornell rowers assembled tonight to recognize 7 alumni who have stepped forward in a major way to help our coaching staff establish a competitive program and to have the funding that's required to actually do that. 7 amazing alumni. Jay Abbey, class of '63. Jay, we go back a long time. You're the spark to this challenge. You were a champion, 2-time Eastern Sprint champion. You were the first guy to cross the line at sprints. I'm sure you enjoyed that very much. And I'll never forget when you made the gift to rehabilitate the tanks so that that office area and that training area was first class. Ken Brown. What can we say about Ken Brown, class of '74? World champion. Pretty impressive. Rhodes Scholar. Perhaps even more impressive. Ken, you've been part of the heart and soul of this group since day one, and you've made a huge difference. Ivan Rudolph Shabinsky, class of '86. Leadership, CRA. You're the one that pulled it together, Ivan. We appreciate you so much. Dewey Shea. Dewey, when I think of you, I think of all the times Todd Kennett said to me that you were an inspiration to him. You're the one that steps forward. You're the star in the class of '80, and I know Todd personally owes you a lot and talks about you very often, and with much appreciation. Don Spiro, Olympian, world champion, class of '61. Don, you're a huge part of this effort, and you give us more street cred than most others. You're an icon. Bob Staley, class of '57. I don't have the words, Bob. I do not have the words. You've been an amazing leader. You've been unbelievably generous. There's no one like you, Bob. You're fantastic. And I love seeing that red Russian jersey in the Hall of Fame room that you took off a Russian's back when you won the World Championship. That's a very special element of our Hall of Fame room. And David Watts. David, learning about you from Todd, you came to Cornell to row. You came to Cornell to win. And you recognized an opportunity that we had. You were up for the challenge. You knew we needed support. And you were one of the guys that made it happen. And I'm also incredibly impressed with another detail that Todd provided me, that you were in the underwater demolition group in the Navy, precursor to the SEALs, and that you were one tough guy. And as I recall, 6'1", 175 pounds, but you could row like a man much, much taller and much heavier, but you made the boat move. And that's the bottom line. And you did it with your heart and in your intensity. So I so much wish I could be there to shake each of your hands and look you in the eye and say thank you. But you're going to have to go on without me, and I know that won't make much of a difference, but I did want to recognize you guys and say thanks to each and every one of you. You have changed the way that Cornell rowing is viewed in this department, and I think across the ECAC, and hopefully across America. You've given Todd an increase in support that's really phenomenal, and I don't have the numbers memorized, but something like from $270,000 to $720,000. That kind of increase in support means the world in what we can do to support our athletes. So thanks a lot, and have a great night, and go Big Red.
In a second, I want to ask all the guys to come up, but before I do, Bob Staley's not here tonight, and Marissa Train, who is a coxswain on the team, came up with this wonderful idea. If everybody at the table could pass either a menu or a program around and just sign it, say thank you, or if you have a quick note for Bob, and we'll collect those and send it to him, because I know he would be absolutely touched by it. This is something that he really wanted to be here for, and he thanks all of you, of course. And then if I could have the other 6 guys come on up here, please. Thanks.
Water demolition.
Come on, let's bring some plaques up. Who we got? Don Sparrow. Ivan. Stewie. Here we go. While everybody's standing up, I can think of nothing better than have probably the best voice I know, and that's Ivan. Lead us forward in a great rendition.
Onward like the swallow going, rise every nerve and sense. Oh, the wild delight of knowing.